Hello there, people of the internet. There has been some confusion, very recently, actually, in like the past year or so, in regards to, AR and AK pistols, like that general genre of design, and SBR laws. Now, a lot of this has to do with certain bracing bracing factors, that's the word I'm looking for. A lot of that has to do with certain bracing factors and certain legalities behind those particular setups. But I figured I'd go ahead and I would talk about some of the differences between short-barreled rifles by legal definitions. And I know that this right here is a made-up media term, but I'm still going to go ahead and use it because it is a good way to describe the types of firearms that the ATF and other government leaders are going after whenever it comes to these types of handguns. So short-barreled rifles versus assault weapon, I use that in quotes because it's a made-up term, assault weapon style handguns by legal definition. So with all intents and purposes, they are fundamentally the same thing. Let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of what something is to be considered a short-barreled firearm. I myself am not really a fan of short-barreled firearms. My M16 here has a 20-inch barrel. I definitely prefer having longer barrels. I will just go ahead and accept that I'm going to have a little bit more of an over-encumbering setup, but I like the extra velocity. That's just me, and I'll do me, you do you. So back in the 1930s, sometime around that time period, back in the 1930s, the United States actually attempted to ban these right here, handguns, and they did this in an effort to make firearms less concealable. In the process of trying to ban handguns, they were also trying to determine different lengths that both rifles and shotguns had to be in order to be owned by the private citizenry here inside the United States. I guess this right here is probably more appropriate handgun of what it is that they would be trying to ban. Well, the handgun ban did not happen, but what did get approved was the certain barrel lengths for both rifles and shotguns. So we have this situation where we can have incredibly concealable firearms as a handgun platform, but we cannot have concealable, like our long arms have to be a certain length so they cannot be concealed, and it makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever, but that right there is an argument for another video. We can talk about whether something should or should not exist later. I'm just telling you what actually is here. So they were trying to get rid of handguns, did not work. But in the process of trying to get rid of handguns, they made a law that said your rifles and your shotguns have to be this particular length. At that particular time period, it was 18 inches for both rifles and shotguns. However, after World War II, the United States ended up surplusing the M1 carbine, and they sold millions of those things. So the M1 carbine has like a 17 and some change inch barrel, so by legal definition, those would be considered a short-barreled rifle. So after World War II, the United States actually ended up shortening the legal barrel length on rifles to 16 inches, and they kept the shotguns at 18 inches. Now, whenever it comes to having something that is legally a rifle, that entails that you have a stock on it as a means to have multiple points of contact. Here in the US, that is just the definition that we have come to. Now, pistols, they have certain braces that you can put on your arms and whatnot, and there's huge delegations as to whether or not that should be allowed, and I'll let you guys go debate that in the comments. That's not what this video is about. But for all intents and purposes, make sure I'm saying that properly, because whenever I say intensive purposes, I get yelled at. For all intents and purposes, here inside the United States, whenever you have an assault weapon style of firearm in a pistol configuration, they cannot have a stock on it because by legal definition, a pistol is supposed to be designed to be fired with one single hand. That is why you don't see pistols that have some sort of secondary grip that you can grab onto to allow firing with multiple hands. Just from a legal definition, a legal standpoint, that right there would constitute that as no longer being a pistol under federal law. Now, if you have yourself a rifle that has a barrel length shorter than that 16 inches that the federal government has decided that is the barrel length that needs to happen to prevent them from being concealable, like the handguns that are already legal out there on the market and very predominant, I don't understand bureaucracy at all. But if you have a barrel length that is below that 16 inches and you have a means to be able to shoulder said rifle, or you have some sort of extra pistol grip on that firearm, then that firearm would constitute as a short-barreled rifle. Now, that being said, if you had the same exact AR style of rifle that would otherwise be classified as a short-barreled rifle, but you have no additional pistol grip on it, and you have no means to be able to shoulder the rifle, we'll determine what happens with the pistol braces at a later point in time. That's still an ongoing thing at time of recording this video. So, if you have no way to shoulder it, and you have no additional thing to grab onto in the front, like a pistol grip or anything like that, no extra vertical foregrips or anything, then by legal definition, that AR assault weapon style of firearm would constitute as being a pistol, because it only has the one location to be fired from your hand. Now, whether or not I would recommend doing that, because it may or may not be a good idea, that's an argument for another topic. We're just talking about legal definitions. So if you can shoulder it, or if there's multiple grips on it, and the barrel length is shorter than 16 inches, then that constitutes as a short-barreled rifle. Then you need to register that with the NFA. It is a $200 tax stamp, and they do a bunch of background checks with you just to make sure that you are thumbs up, good to go, allowed to own something like that. I personally do not think that that is something that should be on an NFA system like that. But that's, like I said, an argument for another topic. I gotta get off that before I start going on some kind of rant. Now, that being said, if you do have yourself basically any kind of rifle that has that 16-inch barrel, then you can do whatever you want. You can throw pistol grips on it, you can throw stocks on it, you can throw different lengths of pull, you can do all sorts of stuff with that particular firearm, simply because it classifies as a rifle, and as long as it's got that 16-inch barrel. And I'm pretty sure that there's a certain actual length that the entire firearm has to be, but I can't remember that particular amount off the top of my head. But I do remember the 16-inch barrel length. SBR laws are one of the main reasons why bullpups are becoming so popular on the market right now. A bullpup is, actually I'll use this SKS right here because I have seen these bullpup before. A bullpup is essentially a firearm where the firing mechanisms are behind the trigger, as opposed to a traditional style of firearm where all the firing mechanisms are in front of the trigger. If you have all the firing mechanisms behind the trigger, then the barrel will actually exceed up over the trigger and go beyond that. And so as a result of that, you can still have that minimum length 16-inch barrel, but since all the fire controls and whatnot are back at the rear of the firearm, that 16-inch barrel is still a considerably short firearm. So you meet the legal definitions of being a rifle, but you have all the perks and benefits of having something that has a shorter barrel on it, even though you have the full 16-inch barrel. So imagine the SKS, but all the shooting bits would be back here, back where you would rest your cheek so you can fire your rifle. That right there is the easiest way to describe that, because I actually don't have any bullpups here with me right now. But since all the firing bits would be back here, the barrel would also start back here because that's where the chamber would be. And so as a result, instead of having a barrel length of this much, let's say this right here, it's not, but let's say that this right here was a 16-inch barrel and it is sticking out like this. If the chamber was, 10 inches further back in this direction, then rather than having a barrel length of about this length, you would have a barrel length that stopped right about here. Does that make sense? Hopefully you guys already know what a bullpup is. Odds are you do if you're watching this channel. But yeah, bullpups are becoming progressively more popular only because of the stupid SBR laws that exist to enforce something that did not pass nearly a century ago at this point. There are pushes to try and get rid of your stupid SBR laws because they make absolutely no sense whatsoever. And with the pistol brace thing being a huge problem now, there's a renewed push to get rid of SBR laws. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll let you guys debate on that down in the comments. Like I said, that's an argument for another topic. I just wanted to go ahead and talk about the different things that are currently what's the word I'm looking for? The different things that are currently going on, not hypothetical situations, not it should be this or it should be that. These are the things that are currently happening and the laws that we currently have to abide by. We can debate on what is and is not correct and just. We can sit here and preach any laws and infringement all day long, but that does not take the laws off the books. Only we can do that. So my recommendation, support GOA and FPC. They are doing really, really good work. Okay, all this being said, I think that I've basically beaten this horse into the ground, so I'm going to just do the outro. Thanks for watching, folks. Appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garrett. Shame that bolt action shotguns aren't more mainstream.